think about it this way: when you open a wallet, it has a seed phrase. You have this warning, right? It's your first experience. Everything is red. You need to copy some words, and then there's a quiz. And like, what's going on? With MPC, you can also have not only a secure experience, but also a very delightful one-tap experience.
Thank you for doing this.
Yeah,
Appreciate
thank
it.
you. My pleasure.
Yeah. To start, can you please tell me your name and what you do?
Yeah, my name is Ido Sofer. It's an Israeli name. CEO and co-founder of Sodot, an MPC key management infrastructure company.
Okay. So let's start there.
Yeah.
Actually, before we get into Sodot,
Yeah.
I want to know, can you tell me what has brought you to this position as CEO and co-founder of Sodot?
Interesting. So actually, I come from a very different background than most of, I would say, the founders in crypto. I spent 7 years in the Ministry of Finance in Israel, senior executive roles, head of industry and trade. And essentially one day I was about to take another role and I stopped. So, all right, I want to figure out if this is what I do as a career. And it turned out that the answer is no. So I decided that I want to go more into the technological sector. So I spent 2 years in Zengo and MPC Wallets as a VP of business. And then for me, it was just, I felt that it was the right thing for me to build a company. And I met the right co-founders in an area which we have a lot of passion and a big problem that we believe that we're solving. So it was very natural, honestly. And it's a great space. A lot of challenges and unsolved problems.
So I'm assuming that from your time at the Ministry of Finance, that's how you became, or that's when you became aware of crypto. Is that right? Or was it before that?
I was aware of crypto, but I can't say I was very passionate about it. I was aware. However, in the Ministry of Finance, essentially, our mission was to increase competition, to create, I would say, the relevant policies and frameworks. So at the end of the day, the citizens will have a better life, right? All of us. Through competition, through things of that nature. And I think I identified in crypto generally the same thing. So crypto is disrupting, I would say, the traditional finance sector, and essentially it does create, I would say, more opportunities for everyday people, financial ones, but also general freedom, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
So I did suit that. So it was very much aligned for me from a value point of view. And it was very fascinating. So I wanted to just dive in. Seemed natural.
Yeah. So when did you first become aware of crypto?
Probably around 2019, 2018.
Okay.
So yeah, it wasn't at the beginning, but in my role in the Ministry of Finance, so there was a lot of I would say new segments that we came about. And we had this, I would say, a way to look if something is real. So we looked at a couple of things: whether the major VCs in the world, whether they fund it, where does the Ivy League students go when they graduate? Is this something that they're interested about? And whether employees from the Google and Facebook of the world are also transitioning to that. And at one point, all three check marks. Crypto had all three check marks, and I think that's where I looked in and I said, all right, this is interesting. There's an industry being built from the grounds up. So probably around 2018, 2020 maybe. And in 2021, I was already working in Zengo.
Very, very cool. All right, last question about your past, because I'm just curious. I don't really know much about Israel's stance towards crypto.
Yeah.
But I'm assuming it's evolved from a kind of wait and see approach to now maybe a more hands-on approach. America transitioned from a very kind of antagonistic stance to now hopefully more friendly. Did Israel have a similar trajectory?
So, yeah. Israel usually looks at the states as, I would say, what should we do
Mhm.
in regards to a lot of sectors. So when I spend time in the Ministry of Finance, often we looked at the states, and the states usually had a very business friendly
Mhm.
approach. So and we respected that. So setting the boundaries and the rules of what's right, what's wrong, and then letting the private sector take it from there. And it didn't happen in crypto, right? I mean, that
I
was
know. It's
we looked
crazy.
at it and we said, all right, this is very arbitrary. It was very confusing, I would say, looking at it from the sides. So essentially, you had, by the way, companies in the states. So we can mention, I don't know, Paxos and Exodus, and Coinbase, and great companies investing a lot to be compliant, even when the word compliant didn't have a true meaning. And they didn't get any dividends. And some of them did get Wells notice and things of that nature. And I remember thinking, this is absurd. I mean, this is not how a regulator should approach this sector. And in Israel, so Israel is a bit different. It's a very small market. So from a consumer point of view, we're much behind. But from a tech point of view, then Israel is a great hub for crypto. So we have great companies. Fireblocks is an Israeli company. Starkware is an Israeli company. Utila for DeFi. There are fantastic companies and great tech, mostly on, I would say, key management, custody infrastructure, and security. That's the strength. So great tech. From a consumer point of view, it's less. It's still behind. It will
Is
take a couple of years.
is that because because people are just don't care about like digital assets kind of thing?
No, it's not because of that. I think regulation
Oh, is it strong?
forged is
Uh,
forged by I would say a pressing need. So there isn't enough, I would say, pressure from consumers to have pro crypto regulation. It is starting to change now. There's a lot of good people that are doing important work, but it's just the beginning in that regard.
cool. All right. So let's focus on the present, Sodot.
Yeah,
Please tell me what do you guys do?
fantastic. Yeah, so let's start with multi-party computation.
Okay.
Sounds bombastic, but essentially, this is a technology that is solving in Web3 one of the major, I would say, or the basic problems, with a private key being a single point of failure. And essentially, a private key is something that if it's stolen, right, or lost, then it's a game over. It's a catastrophe.
Yeah.
And over $100 billion are associated with this problem being lost, probably more. So MPC essentially solved that by generating the key in a distributed manner. What does that mean? A couple of shares, each one stored in a different location, and they communicate with each other in order to sign a transaction. So let's say that we're splitting the key to three. So I have a third, Dan have a third, and you have a third. That's Dan. So let's say that we need only two to sign a transaction. So that means if Dan is, he didn't have his
He's a
coffee, he lost
squirrely
his.
guy.
He's a squirrely guy, yeah.
Mhm.
So he lost his. So we still have our shares,
Two
and we can
reliable people.
exactly we can reconstruct it, and we can also provide Dan his share back. And if an attacker gets a hold of yours, it's not enough. So it solves the basic problem by that. There's a lot of great companies that are using this technology. But essentially, what we provide is the infrastructure for other companies to build products with this technology, which is very, very complex. So a company to build that right, performance, secure, I mean, with the great security, robust, and so on, it should take probably around, I don't know, between 12 to 24 months, depending on hiring, auditing, building it, and also the maintenance. And also the level of expertise that is needed for that is very significant. So we provide that. We are very privileged to work with some of the leading companies in the space, from eToro to Exodus, Flowdesk, and of course Bitcoin.com. So that has been fantastic for us. So our customers build wallets, custody products, market making, things of that nature.
Okay, so uh, this sounds awesome, but for my simple-minded point of view, it sounds like this is kind of a friendly version of multi-sig. Is that right, or what am I missing?
Yeah, it's a bit different.
Okay.
So yeah, multisig is essentially a couple of private keys
Mhm.
that are signing a transaction together. So MPC is a bit different. So
Okay.
multisig is on chain,
Yeah.
and MPC is off chain, so no gas fees, and it's more
Okay. I
private,
see.
and it's also multi-chain by nature. So
What do you
MPC, I would
sorry?
say.
What do you mean multi-chain by nature?
So essentially, MPC is blockchain agnostic. It's a layer below blockchain. So
Okay.
essentially, if you support the different curves, then you can support all of the blockchains.
Oh, interesting.
So our customers, they plug in RPC providers, and then they can support whichever
Solana
blockchain that they
or
want. Yeah.
Base.
So it's
Okay.
exactly whoever. Yeah, all of those.
Okay. But it has aspects of it though, right? Like a 2 of 3 for
It,
or
it has
3
the
of
same,
4.
yeah, the same mechanism of redundancy, I would say,
Okay.
and having a quorum. So it's shared between the
Okay,
two.
I see.
Yeah,
I see. I see.
correct.
MPC is basically one of those kind of pillars that without it, there won't be mass adoption. And
Yeah.
I'm sure you probably feel similarly.
I do, and I'll try to break it down. So, there are two aspects for it. One is financial institutions or institutions at all. So, going to crypto has a lot of risks, right?
Mhm.
Think about a bank, think about a custodian. Essentially, if something is, if crypto is stolen, right, that's a one-way door. It's very hard to retrieve that, and there's a lot of reputation being done there. So, if the security aspect or the risk is so severe, essentially institutions will not dive in, or I would say go into that to custodying digital assets and offering that. So security is important. By the way, key management is only one part. There's a lot of additional layers on top of it. So that's for institutions. On the other end, for retail, seed phrase or private keys, it's really not something that I would say retail users understand. Think about it this way: when you open a wallet, it has a seed phrase. You have this warning, right?
Yeah.
It's your first experience. Everything is red. You need to copy some words, and then there's a quiz. And like, what's going on?
Yeah.
So this is a conversion rates killer, by the way. So with MPC, you can also have not only a secure experience, but also a very delightful one-tap experience. And you have the same flow as I would say Web2 financial applications like Venmo and others like Cash App. So it's very important for adoption. Having a secure but also a very seamless and delightful, and by the way, a familiar experience
Yeah.
for crypto users.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's untenable to have a normal user have to kind of do all this extra learning, right? Like
Yeah.
it just doesn't. It's just not going to happen, right? And also from like the support side of wallets and stuff like that, the amount of problems that come from like people losing funds because they forgot their seed phrase or their phone died or this kind of thing. It's just a nightmare.
Correct. Yeah. It's a big issue. And when we think about mass adoption, so what does that mean, right? So you have the early adopters when you say, okay, I'm willing to endure the pain. I'm willing to endure the pain. Um, and I even want to understand the tech. But mass adoption means that people just want the utility.
Yeah, exactly.
Either they want an NFT, they want the whole Bitcoin and so on. They don't care about the other things.
They have a
just,
life.
Exactly, they have a life. And they just want a great experience, something that they understand. So they want the good side without the bad side. And this is what wallet providers, custodians, and also infrastructure providers, this is what we need to achieve in order to provide that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the other thing that NBC enables, again, you can correct me if I'm wrong at any time,
Yeah.
is I think another big bottleneck is the fact that up to this point you have to kind of download an app that is like your wallet, right? And I think that is it's been shown that not just in crypto but just getting someone to have to download an app
Yeah.
and then go through this whole like process of onboarding is another conversion killer, right, in of itself. And NBC allows you to have basically like kind of like one touch apps that are connected to like websites or
Yeah.
dApps or something. Sorry,
So
please.
it's not only MPC, but we can talk about Bitcoin.com specifically, by the
Okay,
way.
sure.
So for Bitcoin.com, so the main app is mobile.
Yeah.
So the thing about mobile is that a lot of times users search using a desktop, and I would say 80% of users probably in crypto they still use web browsers and desktops, right? And non-mobile apps. So essentially, you're seeing something, it looks great. You want to buy or you want to open a wallet, and then it sends you to the app store, and you need to download it, and you need to do the. So that's a problem. And Bitcoin.com specifically until now um, didn't feel comfortable to have a web wallet which is secure enough for newcomers.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say that Bitcoin.com has a lot of responsibility in that. So a lot of newcomers, they just tap, I don't know, Bitcoin in Google. So they'll land in Bitcoin.com, right?
That's right.
So Bitcoin.com took a more, I would say, conservative and more responsible approach to let's make it super secure, even on expensive business. So right now we are very happy with that decision. But MPC enabled Bitcoin.com to launch a web browser essentially. So we my 2 cents or my intuition is going to be very very significant regarding conversion and the experience that Bitcoin.com users are going to have, and also a unified experience between all ecosystem apps and also the mobile. So you have one account shared between all devices, and it's gonna be a fantastic user experience. I got a sneak peek. It's beautiful, and we can't wait to see it live.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I know just from my personal experience, I loathe downloading apps now, right? Like,
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many times if it goes click, 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 download the app. I'm like, nope, go back.
I hear you.
Go back
Yeah.
for that. So, I mean, it's a, I think a really important thing, in that respect. In addition to all the UX and UI improvements,
Yes.
that MPC, enables. Is this kind of the end game, the end state of MPC? Are there further developments in this area on the horizon, or is it kind of considered like a mature product, a mature technology?
In general, or in
Yeah.
Web3?
Ooh,
Good question.
yeah.
Yeah. So when we're saying MPC in Web3, essentially we're saying a specific group. It's called threshold signatures. MPC broadly is a broader, I would say, family of protocols. And it
Interesting.
includes, as it sounds, multiple parties doing some kind of shared computation without revealing data. So it has very, very, very interesting application. Think about two financial institutions with two data sets and a company that wants to do an analysis on fraud on those two data sets. So MPC allows to query that. It's a different kind of protocol. Also think about a cancer research with patient data with multiple hospitals. And obviously you can't share that because this is the patient's privacy.
Mm-hmm.
So you can actually do those kind of studies without revealing the data using MPC. So different protocols, but very, very interesting usage.
Absolutely. Yeah. So it almost seems like, and I imagine Sodot is exploring those.
So not currently. So how we think about ourselves is we do want to provide Web3 key management infrastructure. So where we're going is we're applying the same best practices for on-chain keys and applying that to other sensitive keys in Web3. Mm-hmm. So one of those are trading API keys.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, which is a super interesting problem.
Yeah, no, there's been a lot of losses associated with these.
There are. Some of them are not public since it's off-chain, but it's a huge problem. Mm. And so we're taking those best practices with a policy engine and splitting the key and so on, and we're applying that to trading API keys. Cool. That's the next thing.
That's awesome.
And there's also other keys. And once we do want to provide an on-prem, self-hosted, with full control, key management infrastructure for the entire Web3. So this is where we're heading. And potentially traditional finance afterwards, but that's...
down the road, yeah.
We have a lot of things to do before.
Yeah. Awesome. Where do you see the key infrastructure space heading for the next couple of years? It's just like, as you say, kind of the proliferation of hitting all these different spots where we're up to this point, keys are handled in kind of a manual, maybe an unsafe way. Is that where it's going? Like, as in, like, you're just gonna.
Question. So although we use multi-party computation and obviously we think it's a great technology, there are other great technologies that are used out there. So there was a discussion, a loud discussion about Ledger.
Ooh, I don't
Um,
know this.
yeah, like in an MPC group.
Okay, cool.
And my take was that I have a ledger. So I mean, I advocate for MPC, but I have a ledger. I mean, Ledger is it's a great company. And HSMs, I don't know if you know what that is. Hardware secure model is like a
Okay.
big server in a rack
Oh, really? Wow.
used by banks and custodians usually.
Okay.
It's also, I mean, it's also something that works for some use cases. So essentially, the technology matters only as the value that it provides to either users or other entities that are using that. And if I think we do think that multi-party computation is one of the leading technologies, but it's not the only one.
Mm-hmm.
So what we do need to see is utility. We need to see security, and that will be achieved by probably a mix of some.
Yeah.
So we use multi-party computation, but also secure enclaves. So we use a bunch of technologies. And again, at the end of the day, the target or the mission is to secure funds. Technology is just a measure. And if the technology becomes the mission, then that's a problem. Yeah.
That is really true and often happens in crypto.
It does. It does.
Or any space that's kind of like engineering
Yeah.
dominated, right? Yeah, like that. Very, very nice. Well, thank you very much, sir. I appreciate
Thank
it.
you. Thank you for having me. All right.
And we're done.